7 signs your husband hates you and what should you do? Maybe you were married for a long time, or it's been just a few years, but no matter how long it lasted till now, something has changed in your marriage and you are starting to say to yourself, I see the signs my husband hates me. This is a serious matter since the relationship in question is your marriage and not some short-term romance. It could be that the love that you had has disappeared, but sometimes love can even shift to hate. Even though you can't control how your husband feels, you can control how you are going to react to it when you notice that he hates you. But first and foremost, it's important to answer some questions to get a deeper understanding why your husband hates you. Why does my husband hate me? Whether you had something to do with it or not, there are plenty of reasons why a husband could start hating you, his wife. But the truth is that he doesn't hate all of you, but only parts of you that he got sick of over time. Maybe he feels like he can never do anything right, or you talk down to him like he was stupid. One of the reasons could be that you are acting like his mother and talk to him the same way you talk to your kids. If you can't just let things go and keep mentioning things he did years ago, he could have started to hate that. How does someone go from love to hate? The truth is, he still cares for you since you have such a long history together, and you have been through a lot side by side, or you are the mother of his children. But romantically and personally, he might be feeling very different. Women know when their husbands are no longer happy in marriage, but hate is a whole new thing to consider. You might think that it is all of a sudden, but in fact, hatred boils inside of your man for a long time and eventually builds up to the point where he can no longer control it. Love turns to hate over time while he is silently taking the things he cannot stand and resents you for it. 7 signs your husband hates you. How to tell if your husband hates you. Number 1. He has started to forget about the important dates. Let's be honest, most men will forget about the important dates, so ignore this sign if it is the only one. But if your husband would always remember a birthday or an anniversary and has suddenly started to forget about them, it could be time to start worrying. What you need to look for is changes in his behavior. Has he started to be late for important events with you? Did he seem to not care when you pointed out to him that he has forgotten about an important date? If your husband is no longer invested in marriage, he will stop paying attention to the little things. If he has never cared about the important dates, then this sign should not worry you. But if it started recently for no apparent reason, it could be a dreadful red flag. Number 2. He doesn't show you affection anymore. Some guys aren't really affectionate, but by now, you know your husband very well. And if he suddenly started avoiding physical contact or has stopped giving you a kiss before you go to bed or before he goes to work, then your marriage might be in trouble. Intimacy is essential in a healthy marriage as well as physical contact, and body language experts can even tell when a couple is going to divorce just by noticing that they are no longer sitting close to each other or exchanging subtle touches. So, lack of intimacy could be one of the signs your husband hates you. Number 3. He is always criticizing you. The meaning of marriage is to have someone who will support you and be the wind beneath your wings, and you will always find a way to solve problems together, even though you might not always agree on things. But if your marriage has changed and he has started to criticize you all the time about even the smallest things like the way you wash your dishes, know that this is something that happens when your husband hates you. When we care deeply about someone, we tend to avoid criticizing them and be their support instead, or at least try not to hurt them in the process. So if he is acting like he is making a list of all the things he hates about you, it's something that happens when your husband hates you. Number 4. He no longer wants to spend time with you. For any relationship to work and grow, you need to be around each other to make it happen, especially when that relationship is marriage. You might assume that your husband is cheating on you if he's away from home a lot, but the truth is that he might be trying to avoid you. If there are justified reasons why he is not home, then there's nothing to worry about. But if it seems like he is deliberately avoiding you, you have a problem. If the only time you spend time together is when there's nothing to talk about, he is probably purposely avoiding communicating with you. This doesn't mean he necessarily hates you, but it is a sign of trouble. Number 5. He has become violent. If he has started to be violent, leave right away because no woman should tolerate any kind of abusive behavior. Even if he stops, you now know what he is capable of, and you don't have to risk a chance of it happening again. Nothing you did got you to deserve someone being violent to you, so you should put a stop to this right away. You don't want to become his victim, and if he is capable of hurting you physically, you are not safe around him. Number 6. He is abusing you emotionally. Whether it's calling you names or making sly comments that damage your ego and put you down, you need to know that you don't have to take this. Being emotionally abusive is one of the signs your husband hates you, and you need to leave and make sure you're safe. Any type of abuse is simply unacceptable for whatever reason it's happening. Number 7, he doesn't communicate with you. Even though you might have been great at communicating and had a lot of topics to talk about, now he's simply not interested in communicating with you. A person who loves you will want to know about your day and your plans, and will care about what is happening in your life. If he doesn't want to talk to you anymore, then there is definitely a problem in your marriage. What to do when your husband hates you? The sad truth is that no matter how long you've been with your husband, he won't change his feelings for you. If he does hate you, it's important that you know it might not be your fault at all. Maybe you've just changed and grown apart over time, so you've become less compatible. So, what to do now? If your husband doesn't really hate you, but is just not invested in the relationship anymore, you must address the problem, spend more time together, and learn how to constructively argue and talk about how to salvage your marriage. A good idea is to visit a marriage counselor and try to work on your marriage. But if you are certain that he in fact does hate you, maybe it's time to consider separation. But try counseling first to make sure this situation is not only because of some stress. Still, if he hates you because he wants to get out of the marriage but is afraid to do it, you might have to separate. The sooner you figure out what to do, the better, because if you don't do something about it, things are only going to get worse. I have to say here again that if your husband is abusive, whether it's physically or emotionally, you have to leave right now. You deserve to have a happy and safe life, and no one has the right to take that away from you. Don't stay in an unsafe environment, and let him work on things by himself while you find a place to live and rebuild your life.